question a little bit. I mean, I talked a little bit about a lot of architects I don't think are well trained. I mean, they apprentice to an architect who himself was not very well educated. So they become a clone of this guy, and they turn out the same kind of work. I could have fallen in that trap too, because I worked with 3 fairly significant architects as I learned the business over a long period of time.
Sounds like a contrarian approach to and it'll never become mainstream. That's just
Well, it should become, but
It's going to take.
if you educate people.
Well, most change is looked at with either as a source of opportunity or in fear. And most people just take the fear route. I can't do that because they haven't experienced it. So,
Sorry, Scott, we
Yeah.
got just a little bit of a cookie break
I
here.
need a little bit.
One quick question, Howard. The other argument I will get, being where I am from, is that where my club is in a very wet environment.
all the more reason to use. Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, I'm just. My question would be, is that we get a lot of rain. We average a lot of rainy years.
Uh-huh.
It still works given those set of circumstances.
Yeah, you're going to aerate. You're going to open the soil so it can breathe.
And we airify a lot. We airify 3 times.
Yeah. Right. So it'll work if you respect all the aspects of a program. There's a book called Ecological Golf Course Management, and it's by a guy named Paul Sachs out of Vermont. Fascinating. He spells it all out in the book. Is as good a book describing this approach as I've seen. And amazingly, the GCSAA was carrying it for a while. I think they've eliminated it. But to me, it should be the Bible of golf course maintenance.
What's GCA?
The Golf Course Superintendents Association.
What course does he have a course in Vermont?
Yeah, I don't remember. His dad, he's in a company called Northeast Organics, this Paul Sachs guy. So I don't even think he's a golf course superintendent. I think his father may have been one or something like that. Yes?
Yeah, what you were saying earlier, Mike, about, just these guys not knowing. They know. I mean, I've talked to people when I was working in Florida. Scott's approach is very fundamentally sound, but they're afraid of losing their membership. They're afraid of losing their clients. You get salesmen that come in and they'll sell you this program, and they'll tell you what the guy down the street's doing. It may not be true or not, but they're so afraid of, at least in Florida, and I don't know if it transfers up here, but from what Scott's saying, they're so afraid of keeping up with the Joneses, basically, that, you gotta keep it green, you gotta keep it wet.
I think that
Florida sells on resorts look. I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta sell lots, you gotta keep it look pretty, plant more flowers. It's a different game.
Yeah, these
How
guys
much do you
know.
find yourself and Gil being involved in the grass, choosing the grasses, helping with the maintenance practices and things like that?
That's what I was gonna ask Wayne.
Well, why don't
I
you-
call it bullshit. Go ahead, Gil. Stand up.
Really,
Gil, put yourself up.
Gil, Ron?
Cheesecake.
Put down your cheesecake and stand up.
any.
No, we don't get down to the fine selection. We talk about the characteristics, the playable.
So is Todd a proponent of your system?
The playable characteristics of what we're hoping
He's
to
been
accomplish.
dabbling in it. Yeah.
And then we rely a lot
Because
on
he cut the
much
water
smarter
use by
people than
about
we are
50%
to
this
year.
recommend the actual
Wait,
grass.
Gil,
the
Gil,
first step?
I gotta tell a story. Is everybody listening? 'Cause when we were doing the Gulf Mills master plan, what was that, 10 years ago almost?
Seems it, yeah.
We had 30 meetings. And one of them, I think I asked the question, well, what about the maintenance practices? And you said, oh, I don't get into that. That's the club's responsibility. And I went, something's wrong with this picture. Well, I didn't realize how much it really is. So, it certainly happened that way. Because, you do the architecture and there it is. But if you don't have the maintenance practices, like firm and fast, in the case of my 1916 golf course, it really doesn't function. So I never really asked you about that, Gil, but I can certainly certainly understand where you're coming from. You know, you have enough to worry about fighting these guys about the architecture. Why do you want to get into the maintenance practices? But the one is so closely connected to the other that, and this is what Scott's talking about, but in my opinion, after all that I've known and studied, we're maybe 50% of the way home. I mean, we've got to tell the truth about, we can't just turn off the irrigation systems or we'll kill grass. You know, it's what Scott's been doing for the last 25 years. We can't say to clubs, well, you want to go to Firm and Fast, you know, go to organics and, you know, and they try and do that in a year. I mean, what's going to happen? It's going to be a disaster, right? So,
Wait a second, Tom, I tried to ask that earlier, and Scott was saying, you know, you're looking at about 5 to 10% loss. If a course can't live with 10% turf loss for a few years with the upside of what you're going to get.
the key remark you just made is a few years, and that is lost in the translation big time. Because most people think, we'll get this, let's just do it, we'll get it done. This is agronomics
I'm
of,
sorry, I'm fighting it tooth and nail in my place every day.
Fighting what?
You guys have done it. Your dad did a great job. Luke Rowan did a great job as far as educating
they
the
don't
members.
understand how long it took.
They don't understand. I mean,
They don't
If I could
understand what happened.
it's so hard. Our place is built. You played our place is wet all the time. It's built in a wet
It's
area.
not built at, the way Huntingdon Valley is pretty
You guys are-
naturally going into
Sully,
that
Sully.
Your drainage is
Yeah, no,
fantastic, I'm
yeah.
sure, but he's going 9 million gallons. We're 24 on a wet surface. It's
What
how
do you do?
how do you educate that? It's-
We're just doing great, and this is why,
How
what
many
I'm
gallons?
recommending,
I tell you what.
what I'm recommending, Scott,
What?
you gotta write a paper. You gotta write a paper.
He wants to write a book.
You gotta write a book. You
Yeah,
gotta write a paper.
yeah.
Well, Scott, how are the other superintendents in the
They've
area?
gotta be.
Everybody knows Huntingdon Valley's big on golf tournaments.
plus
Too
the
much trouble.
What's the board? I said,
What is the reaction of other superintendents in our area on what you're doing? And
I'm the witch doctor.
I mean, obviously Scott May is having success.
Tommy sent us somewhere, if you wanna tell us when we were upstairs, go back up there.
Yeah, well, I guess I do put the system